We are all connected. So join me as I talk to like-minded people about topics that are appropriate to the current times we are living in. My name is Lerato Shabalala and this is Relevant. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Relevant with me, Lerato Shabalala. Remember, you can go to my YouTube channel to access the vodcast because it's cute, me and my guests, so we deserve to be seen. But if you're in your car, you can go wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Iona, Spotify, and subscribe, share, comment. So many of you have been just giving us some great feedback, people who watched Tando and how much she educated us. Tando, but she was amazing. So this week I'm also talking to another powerhouse of a woman. I was actually thinking, I was saying to her off air that her and I talk a lot, so we are going to have to try and bamba ourselves to not go over an hour because it's going to be so hard. She's incredibly accomplished. She is a marketing strategist. She is a mother of three, a wife, many accolades. Just last year, she studied a bachelor in arts, which I'm going to ask her about. She really, really has worked for some of the most amazing brands that I love, that I'm wearing currently right now on my face and on my body, from Tom Ford to MAC, to Smashbox. She is just a beauty industry pioneer. I am so excited and so thrilled to be speaking to the brand general manager at one of the biggest, I think it's the biggest in the country, Kgomotso, clinic.
Yes, on Prestige, we are the biggest skincare prestige brand in the country, yes.
And you are the brand custodian for that. I mean, so it's Soweto, right? Except when you come from the nicer part of Senville.
I wish. We need to talk about this nicer part. We need to talk about this.
You know what? I think it is because Mpumezola. So
it's
a little bit of you are a little bit of an improvement, you know?
Yes.
I'm thrilled to be talking to you, and we're going to talk about a whole lot of things. But I want to start off with a question I was really thinking about. I was like, what do you start with somebody as accomplished as you? And especially with the year we've had with COVID-19 and just some of the things that have happened throughout this year. You work for a company that was started by a woman. I mean, in 1946, Estee Lauder opened her first shop in New York. And as you know, the last sort of 2 to 3 years have been huge in terms of the movement of women and us taking up space and us really saying we are going to move forward and be intentional with what we want to do with our lives. And you work for a woman who was a pioneer. What is that like, knowing we still face patriarchy now, and she was busting down doors back then? Isn't that just incredible?
You know what, and I think that's part of the reason why my journey has been filled with so much accomplishment, because not only do I work for a brand that was started by a woman, but I've worked for incredible women throughout my career. So when I mean, you know, it's funny when you always start an interview, you always think, how are you going to start? And I always like to start from the beginning because that gives great context. You know, my psychologist, because I have a shrink, and it's a good thing to have a shrink.
Because our mental health is important. We need to have therapists. It's great to embrace it.
Exactly. My therapist took me through my river of life, and she believes in the river of life so much, and she says you look at the river of your life and you pinpoint moments and memories and peoples and times and epochs where you felt like this was a life-changing moment. And to be honest with you, my career and the start of my career with Estee Lauder was probably one of the biggest life-changing moments. For a while, I was hired by women, I worked for women, and it's quite interesting because the cosmetic world is actually still quite male-dominated.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's numbers and figures and money and also it's basically fast moving consumer goods and you know, historically, men have worked in number driven careers, but I was hired by an amazing white South African woman who when she interviewed me, one of the things that she asked me was my taste in music.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about my history and my career, and then the conversation ended off with, what is your taste in music and what do you do? What do you like to listen to during the weekends? You know, and then she took a Tom Ford white patchouli at the time. It was probably
Ooh.
one of the top selling fragrances at the time, and she sprayed it on me and she said, "You deserve this because you feel like a bunch of flowers."
Yes.
And I think that in and of itself was rubber stamping what I've always believed about myself, but to see other people see it in me was amazing because we're not from the easiest of backgrounds, right?
No.
So my career started off with, well, my career at Estee Lauder started off with women, and when we started with changing the face of the brand, and I'm sure you've seen it over the
Yes.
past 8 or 9 years, how the brand has literally,
Yeah.
how the Estee Lauder brand in and of itself has changed. I worked on the Estee Lauder brand. I started as a product marketing manager on the Estee Lauder brand, and I worked with some amazing black and white women. And that was the first time that the brand decided that they're going to tap into the power of the founder, Estee Lauder. And one of the things that she always used to say was that every woman can be beautiful. And I know that you know about every woman can be beautiful because
yes.
time, true love, right?
Yes.
That was the first time that, and it was only when the brand decided to tap into the heritage of the founder, which was every woman can be beautiful, and there are no ugly women, just lazy women. And that was really the beginning of the magic of turning the brand into not just a black brand, a white black brand, or it was a brand for every woman. And there was something luxurious and self-care-ish about the brand. And that resonated even in the way in which we worked. I mean, I worked for one of the most brilliant women minds to this day. Sue Fox, for me, remains the epitome
all know
of
Sue Fox. As a former magazine editor, if you do not know Sue Fox, you don't know life.
I mean, Sue was probably one of the people that genuinely believed in me. Sue took me to New York to go and present to the leadership teams of all of the brands, vice presidents. And not once did she tell me how to speak, how to do it. She just put me in front of the audience and she says, you speak the story of the South African black woman. You tell them why you need shades. You tell them why you need an oil controlling moisturizer. You must tell them about the 12 o'clock shine, which I think I have. But
what a big moment where you're not. So I was listening to a podcast you were on, the She Brigade, which was a fantastic interview with you. And one of the things you said there was stuck with me, and I'll never forget it. And I'll tell you why I'll never forget it. One of my favorite quotes is by Maya Angelou. She says, modesty is for liars. She says, people who are modest sort of inherently they'll have their backs up and they'll be narcissistic. But if you have worked hard for something, you worked hard to look good, you worked hard for your body, and somebody compliments you, you should be able to take it. And one of the things you said in there is that I always knew I was great. I always knew I was great. I always thought I was meant for something bigger. So when the something bigger is arriving, you're in New York, you are now, it's like, rise to the occasion. What was that like? Or like your nerves? How did you feel? Or were you like, yeah, I'm going to take up space. This is my moment.
You know, you're going to laugh. I spent the morning listening to a mixture of kwaito and like deep African gospel.
You have to.
Because I've got to continue, you've got to continue to ground yourself, right? This moment is big.
Yes.
I mean, it's a big moment. And I can remember it vividly because there's a little speaker that I would travel with because I've worked in Sub-Sahara, and you need, like, music becomes your friend and your companion. Otherwise, then you just club every day, all day. And I've got this little JBL speaker that I take with me everywhere. And I remember I was playing it. I mean, we were I don't remember what the name of the hotel was, but it was literally in the heart of New York. And I remember opening up the blinds and thinking, gosh, it's that morning. And I thought, you got to go back and ground yourself.
Oh, yes.
And you've got to go back and just ground your. And I remember listening to Kwaito Kijaiva, like blushing. Tako, I don't know, you know the streets between Zola and Dopes. There's always that mixture. When they say and then the girls still decide to go. I found myself in this space between Zondi and Dopes, you know, where I had to ground myself, because the reminder of where you come from, not only does it remind you of your journey, but also for me, it was you are that great that you've made it here.
Yeah.
It was this is supposed to happen to you, right? But I find that I've got to bring a little bit of my history with me to go, Marila Bona, what's that? Do you guys see what's happening? Exactly. And I remember that morning I woke up, I always try to wear something African, and not because I'm trying to be like, for people to compliment me, but another grounding thing. Right? So I remember I was wearing this necklace. Remember there was a time when there was that necklace that was basically fabric, right? There were lots of these fabrics. And I was wearing that with black because I really love black with a red lip. And I stood in front of the audience, and I was introduced by a white colleague, and we were discussing the Nigerian consumer together with the South African consumer, because we wanted to go strategically into Nigeria. We are now. And she introduced us, and she said my name in a way I wasn't comfortable. And then she said, Kgomotso is going to talk to you about the Nigerian consumer. Actually, she looks so great. She could be Nigerian. I said, no, I'm not.
No.
And then she said, yeah, but she looks so amazing. You could be. I said, no, I'm not.
No.
And I remember Sue standing there going, and I reintroduced myself. And I felt my power as soon as I did that. I said, my name is Kgomotso Mosiane. I am from South Africa, and I am going to take you through the needs of a South African woman. And from that moment, I just flowed, because I grounded myself, and I found a sense of it. Remember, in the morning, I'm guiding, and then now and now somebody's trying to misrepresent me, and I'm like, nah, I am who I am. So you rise to the occasion, but you remember who you are. And to answer your question, that's exactly it. It's these big moments with the really, really big people. I mean, John Dempsey for me is one of the biggest and most amazing minds in not only cosmetics, but in business, you know. And having him as an audience was probably one of my biggest career highlights. Not that they have ended. It's one of the ones right now. We should be adding more to the highlights soon.
Oh, I mean, I know there's going to be more, just simply because we're talking before we started. Your impeccable style, Kgomotso. Your impeccable style, the plants, the red lip, to say that I admire you. And guys, really just go to @Kgomotso_Instagram and check her out. I am not kidding. So you find yourself in this situation. So our worlds actually collide somewhere between sort of magazines. You know, when you guys go on road shows, we would come through, and obviously the industry has really almost been obliterated, right, by COVID-19. And the thing about Estee Lauder, the Estee Lauder company, the group, the prestige group, is that you guys have fueled the magazine industry. You've helped us keep the lights on. You knew your magazine was doing well when Estee Lauder booked a DPS or even 2 DPSs. You know, that's when you knew that things were going really well. Exactly. So how has COVID-19 affected your industry? So that is the industry that I used to work in, but how has the beauty industry been affected by what we're going through right now? And how have you, I know you're going to a therapist, I mean, so am I, and how have you kept yourself sane?
I think the pandemic has obviously affected all of us differently. And the thing about the beauty industry, and Mr. Loda talks a lot about the lipstick effect in most of the interviews that you hear. I mean, this is Leonard Loda. The lipstick effect is in any depression, regardless of whatever happens. A woman has a way of finding that the lipstick gives her a psychological oomph.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Yes, it's called the lipstick effect. In actual fact, it's in the news now that COVID has moved her towards what we call the moisturizer effect.
Okay.
Because she not only is she looking, because there's obviously issues around masks and the rest, but the moisturizer takes the time and gives her a little bit of time of self-care. So she's not going to skip on that because she knows that the moisturizer has to perform, and considering the fact that there's so many harsh environmental issues and the mask itself, she's taking the time to buy the right moisturizer that's going to fit her and make sure that she takes the time at night to pamper herself. So we've obviously shifted our business. Some of the models you see are changing a little bit. We're doing things differently. We're talking to our consumers not just online, but in the virtual space, and we're changing as the world is changing, and the word pivot has been used a lot lately, and that's what every company is trying to do, right? We at Clinique specifically, I mean, we are pivoting more and more towards making sure that we reach our consumers, whether it's through a Zoom meeting, an Instagram live, somehow because we were touch based for the longest time, right? In actual fact, one of our values is bringing the best to everyone we touch. So not only are we unable to touch you physically, but now we're touching you virtually. So it's been a shift, and it really has been a time for us to pivot. But listen, we really believe that the best really is yet to come. There's few issues around here and there, lockdowns, as and when they happen, but like Mr. Loda said, the moisturizer effect is in full swing. Yeah.
I think I had no idea about the lipstick effect. I mean, I believe in three things when I'm traveling overseas, and you know this from doing those long New York 16-hour flights, is when you land and you have a meeting straight ahead, and you're kind of not feeling your best. If you have a red lip and some glass, right? Skin looks great.
This is for fabulous, right? Somehow, and it's not even for other people. You're like, that is.
Exactly. You just feel like, okay, I can do absolutely anything I want to. So you did not study marketing. I mean, now you have. I mean, I think obviously now you have gotten. I think, is it your master's?
No, it's actually a PDBA. It's a postgraduate. Yeah.
Oh, believe me, more education than me. Don't worry. I have a diploma, so I'm very impressed by you.
I live with an MBA graduate, so I have to constantly watch my words, because out of masters, then it's going to look like everybody in the house has one, and the one that's missing one. So be careful.
Yeah, no, not to get it twisted, but like, so exactly. But like, so then, you found yourselves, and this is something that's very typical of people like us who come from Soweto, where you started as a receptionist because you don't have a car to get around, and somebody sees something in you and somebody calls you, and your journey is a lot like that. But for over a decade now, you have really been in the beauty industry, very sort of entrenched. And I want to know, why do you think beauty chose you? So, because you choosing it would have been you going to study the thing, but somehow your destiny came towards you, Kgomotso. It was like, this is what you're meant to do. Why do you think it's such a great fit with you? Why do you think you found yourself? And it's a big question, I know, but I know you're a highly spiritual woman, and I think you have thought about your journey, and you talk about it so beautifully. So you must somehow think there's a divine reason.
Absolutely. So there's a divine and somewhat ancestral reason, which I'm going to take you through. So I come from a family where my grandfather owned the first beauty salon in Dobson.
No ways. No
So,
way.
yes. So at home, we never shop. You know, when there's a shop or
Yes.
everybody had a other people had a shebeen, other people, you know, never said you got the go we used to cut hair.
Wow.
So my grandfather was a hairdresser, a very accomplished hairdresser. And both my uncles worked in my grandfather's hairdressing company. Then my very accomplished uncle, who I will love forever and cherish forever, started together with Herman Mashaba, black like me.
No
Yep.
ways.
Yep. And then he left. His name was Obed Tobejani. And then he left Black Like Me, and he started Principal Hair Products.
No, stop it, Kgomotso.
Yeah.
That's family lineage?
That's my family lineage. And yeah. And then he was the first man to sell a hair company to a multi-international because he sold it to Procter & Gamble when Procter got to the country. And the only reason why he did was because Procter was looking for an in the African hair space, and Herman was not willing to let go of Black Line. I actually think he had sold it to MCA or something like that. Yeah. And this guy was no longer interested in Principal. He was a millionaire. He sold Principal Hair Products. I was telling somebody in the office last week, actually, and people were like, "Why are you so quiet about this?" And I'm like, "What does it have to do with today?" He sold to Procter. And then a few years later, he passed away. So beauty is in my genes, Lerato. Yeah. I actually do my own hair.
No.
Like cut and okay. I do my own hair. I haven't been to a hairdresser in like 3 years.
You're such an support.
We used to be the mannequins that you know, he would formulate new stuff because he also had a lab, so he'd formulate new stuff, get home, and he's like, come on, and then you get there and then just to have, or sometimes he tried to, you know, he was always trying new things. So I come from a family of hair. In actual fact, when I started my initial job outside of the receptionist job was working, funny enough, in product development. I did product development for a few companies, including Glowmail, including Clicks, including Edgar's. And I understood the biochemistry. I didn't study it. I understood the biochemistry of starting your own product, you know, and everything that's required to do that. In actual fact, I was saying to somebody, and I don't know if I said it in the previous podcast, I used to write up stuff. I used to write up the directions and instructions for hand lotions on the back. You know, this luxurious pomegranate scented will leave your skin feeling amazing or whatever. So that was what I did before 2 companies before I went to Estee Lauder. In actual fact, that was the golden thread that got me into Lauder. But yeah, I come from a family of beauty, so to say, right? Because hair and beauty always go together.
Yes.
And also the divine, you know, the divine is such an amazing thing, because I honestly believe, and there's a scripture that says God gives you beauty for ashes.
Yes.
Right? Strength for fear, gladness for mourning, and peace for despair. Like it's like an exchange. And I believe that my life was meant to be a life of ashes. Like if you look at my history, where I'm from, you know, right? You know, you're the least likely, your family is the least likely. And I honestly feel like there was this great exchange of literal beauty for ashes.
Sure.
And that's how I believe that I ended up here. It had to be. He's literally given me beauty, and I've given my ashes, whatever those are. So
incredible. Like, because your uncle passed away and you were born, and you were given the name as a sense of giving your family,
yes.
mother, comfort. And one of the things I wanted to ask you was, do you feel an emotional connection to him, even though you never met him? Because there's, I don't know, there's something that to me that felt quite warm about knowing that you've been the life that you gave to your mother and to us means a lot more than just, oh, they wanted a baby.
Yeah. I feel a connection to my mother's loss more than I do to him, and I don't know if that makes sense. My mother and my mother and I have a very weird relationship, but for the most parts, I think I'm the only person that can have a straight up conversation with her, because the rest of when you're the only child that went to Model C, you've got a little bit of leeway. I don't know. And the last born, so and we've had many conversations about her life journey, her river of life, and etc. And there's always this replacement that she always makes, and it's not. I don't think she's doing it deliberately, but she'll say, "I was so close to my brother, then you came." So I feel like I'm more of a comfort and a channel for her, to her brother and for her brother. And and yes, the name was for me, Kgomotso, but I feel like it was for this particular person because that was her closest brother.
Yeah.
So she says it all the time, right? Every single and for the past 36 years, well, for as long as I can remember, ever since I left home, she would phone me and tell me exactly the story of my birth, like literally, like minute for minute.
Sure.
And you were born. She tells the story, phones me at 6 a.m. every single year and tells the story. And that's how important it is for her. Yeah.
I think that's incredible to be told the story of how you became into being, right?
Yeah.
And the significance of your life.
Yeah.
You were born at home.
Yes.
And one of the things you said, so I didn't have the most amazing of childhoods. And one of the things you said, so my grandparents were alcoholics, my grandmother was bulimic. So, just like a typical situation that's not great. And one of the things you said about your childhood is that you grew up in love, with a lot of love around you. And you moved around and with different relatives. And I wanted to know what your childhood felt like as somebody who, and I'm a very happy person. My life improved greatly. It's a great story. I wouldn't change it. It was the life that was meant for me. But I often wondered how having a good childhood, a loving, beautiful childhood would have shaped me, how different I would be. And I was curious when I heard you, and you sounded like you were really loved. How did that shape you? What was it like being you, younger?
That's where the sense of greatness comes from. Because a child, and my therapist says this a lot, is the environment in which you grow up in nurtures purpose. So the fact that you don't have to prove your worth and prove your purpose and your reason to exist, and that is a given without you having to do anything, allows you to grow in love and to be a child. And funny enough, I can't say the same for my sister. It's so weird. I mean, we come from both, our parents are exactly the two same people. But I my husband says this to me all the time. He says to me, "You've got a Midas touch." I don't know what to call it. Unale touch. I was telling him something, and he's like, "You and my cousin are the only two people that I know that have got that thing." And I do believe that a lot of it has got to do with our childhood and how we were raised, and the environment, and how the environment nurtured, understood, cared, gave you space, made way, gave you grace, so that you could concentrate on childhood. And that's what I was given. The funny part is it didn't come from my parents necessarily. Yeah. It came from a legion of people, from my mother's elder sister, who's not talking to my mother to this day, but it came from a legion of people that just took to me and just loved me. I mean, there would be a fight of where I spent the December holidays because everyone wanted to have me, right? And I would decide, I'm going to my uncle's or I'm going. And when I got there, funny enough, it also blocked out the non-love because when I think back, I realized maybe this one didn't like me, but I actually didn't feel it because I was enveloped by love so much that some of it actually didn't matter, right? There are certain relatives that you think of, and my sister says this to me all the time. Do you remember so and so who did this? I don't. I don't, because I was busy being a child, right? And that's what it is. It's an environment that allows you to flourish, to thrive, and it's not being spoiled. It's not having everything. I didn't have everything. I didn't have many things. I struggled with sport because half of the time I couldn't buy the stuff, and then I'm like, I got to pray because actually I can't do this, and I hated asking. But at no point did I doubt that I'm loved and accepted, and that was sufficient. In actual fact, it was all I needed. And then obviously, you have your sister who comes in and mothers you, and your mother struggles, and then your aunt, and then your mother's sister, and then your uncle. So I really was surrounded by love, and it's something to this day that I'm making sure that I cultivate in this home.
And that home that you started when you were 19 years old, I was, when you were 22, you were having your first child. I was like, oh my God, Kgomotso. Do you know people are at rest getting drunk? What I mean, when you're like in the boardroom, you're proper working. And
yeah.
I think I would reckon that for the most part of your children's lives, you've been a working mother and you're alive. And you also form part of the team that came up with double wear makeup. So you an executive. So do you, now that you are a parent, how are you, first of all, let me start with, did you have mom who works guilt? Did you have that? And if you did, how did you deal with it? Because the beauty industry is highly demanding. Your KPIs are quite high. You have to answer at an international level, which is something I understand because of the magazine industry. We would want to do something, but you'd have to clear it with, this person and that person. Did you ever have that guilt?
I started working, and I want to tell you the story. I used to when I was much younger. And then when I started working at Estée Lauder, I was in Cape Town for 2 days, and we were doing something, I think, with Cosmo. And I was saying to Julia Raffaele, I was like, Julia, this guilt, we were talking about kids as mothers. And that woman, and Julia said to me, your children need to watch you hustle.
Right.
She said to me, listen, we have a family business. We own this thing, right? And everybody is in the business. And the mommy guilt is from my mother to everybody else. But I've grown up watching my mother hustle. And the reality is, most of the time, women are going to hustle. So your guilt should be replaced by the fact that you're teaching. You're busy putting your children through school here. You're teaching them that a woman can be a mother and hustle at the same time. The two are not mutually, they're not exclusive from each other. It's part of who you are. And she said, the moment you release yourself, Julia Raffaele changed my life. She said, the moment you release yourself from the guilt and you replace it with, you must watch me hustle. And then I said to her, I had a friend who was a stay-at-home mom. When we were talking about this, I had a friend who was because it's possible to have ex-friends.
Yes, of course. In fact, you and I need to have a second conversation about friendship breakups. That's a whole nother show. People don't want to talk about that. And I've been thinking about it. You manifested it. I was like, I need to talk about friendship breakups. So you and I, our next conversation. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm happy. I think I've healed to actually have this conversation. 3 years ago, wow. But anyway, so my ex-friend was stay-at-home mom by choice. And I said this to Julia. I said, the little girl, every time she picks up money, a wallet, a coin, she runs and gives it to daddy. because that's the custodian of money.
Of the money.
At 18 months old, 2 years old, right?
Oh.
She'll pick up a broom, she'll pick up, I don't know, a spoon, whatever. She gives it to mommy. But anything that's linked to money, it's a wallet, it's a piece of paper that looks, she runs to dad, because somehow that's looked at as the custodian for all things money, accounting, counting, and everything. And she said to me, that's because children learn through seeing.
Sure.
You've got to hustle so they can see you hustle. And then you've got to come home and do the things that moms do so they can see that there is balance.
Yeah.
So no mommy guilt. And mommy guilt was the reason why I had stopped myself from going into a job in Africa. And then I decided, stuff it. I'm going to work in Africa. There would be times when I'm gone for 2 weeks. I care about they've got a dad.
Yes.
Right? Very much so. Another parent. I would be gone for 2 weeks. A week in Abuja, a week in Lagos, and then I'd come back home and spend another week and then go again. And they're fine. They're okay.
Yes. Right. And I think
They're okay.
your story, I think, is one that's good for people to hear, because you don't feel like, this is the most interesting thing about you. You don't sound like somebody who missed out. Like, I do wish I was at risk, getting drunk, or whatever the case may be. You know, you just, when you speak about your journey, you have this sense of wholeness that doesn't, you don't get it a lot. And you are in a very sort of fickle industry. We are in a fickle industry. An industry that's about beauty and your looks. And I wanted to ask you how your teaching, I know you have 3 children. Is it 2 girls and 1 boy?
2 boys and 1 girl.
2 boys and 1 girl. So her being the only girl there, and you being in a very sort of, you know, perceived to be perfect, have this and that. What are you teaching her about beauty, self-perception, you know, especially coming from the industry that you come from?
You know, now my daughter is teaching me, I promise you, everything about self-perception and beauty. So she is completely introverted. And when I say this, I mean completely introverted. Has got a deep sense and understanding of who she is inwardly. I see this every day, and I watch her and I think, could that have been me or is it him? She's just come out as bisexual 3 weeks ago.
Sure, I saw on your Instagram. My next question was going to be, how did you take that? But you see how much you have to talk about. Okay, let me pace myself. Calm down.
But also, she is not interested in anything beauty related, right? The only thing that you can do for a teenage daughter is to teach them. What did I say to my son yesterday? Because I was shouting at him about it in my sleep. Cleanliness. You must be clean. When this is first and foremost, because you know there's the armpits and the pimples and awkward fades and they look terrible. So at the moment, I'm just teaching, just be a clean human being.
The basics.
Yeah, the basics, right? She really isn't interested. But one of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis, and affirmations are a big thing in our home, huge thing in our home. And our affirmations are not necessarily linked to looks. We talk a lot about significance. And that's because if you think about it, the 5 of us have basically all grown up together, because we were all so young when we started this shindig here. This thing that we're doing. So, this whole thing, yeah. And there's a certain openness towards, when I say everything, I mean everything. In my home is probably one of the most, I would like to think, and I'm praying for this every day, my home is the one place where my kids feel completely accepted for whatever. So I don't teach now about beauty. I haven't given her a lipstick. I would love to say to you, I've given her a coming of age lipstick. No such thing. There's no such thing here. I'm watching her as she teaches me the pace in which she would like to learn. And at the moment, she's in this awkward hands in your pockets, always in tracksuits. I think I'm not a significant other somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, you're always in braids. Or she's always in braids. I think it's just the easiest and least. And if the braids are not done, that's the only time you'll see my child upset. But other than that, and then obviously there's living with boys. I think living with boys also adds a certain level of testosterone to it, because there's got to be a fight for your space, and I'm good at the video games, and it's my turn, and so she's not doting, she's not a ballerina, she's not, all these things that you want to do when you work in beauty. She's not well kept and amazing and great and groomed, and no, she's a raggedy 13-year-old. She really is.
So many of us were just raggedy 13-year-olds. That's how you I think this world that we live in, where 13-year-olds now must be perfect and have things together, it's just like bizarre to me. It's like, you don't have to do any of that. But when I was looking, when you wrote so honestly about her coming out as bisexual to you, I thought to myself, sure, Kgomotso, I'm even 10 times more impressed than I thought I was before, because that speaks to your humanity. And I love your language in what you say, she's teaching you a lot, because remember, society perception is that the elders, the parents, the guardians, we teach, but actually we learn a lot. What did you learn about yourself in that moment when she came out to you, just about yourself and how you reacted and all of that?
One of the things I learned is that, and she's teaching me this, right, is respecting your truth, and respecting the truth of others. And I wrote it last week, I think. I said, it's good for you to have your truth, but you've also got to respect the truth of others. And, someone else might say to me, it's just a phase, but it's her reality. Someone else might say, but she'll end up with a man. That's fine. But today, right now at 3, she says that she's bisexual, and I honor that. And I honor that moment, and I honor the space that she finds herself in. And I am honored that she feels, because it was over lunch, we were sitting at Casalinga, and we were going around, doing a round robin in the table, and we were like, and then we're not boyfriends. I think like both. And I don't think that the dad heard. And here's the thing about Neha, the dad didn't hear, and we continued. Then the next Sunday or the next Saturday, we were having a conversation with the dad, and I said, yeah, but she told us. And I called her, and she came out, and she says, yeah. I said, you want to tell daddy what you, she said, I thought you heard me. Like that. Like ceremonial and coming out, and I'd like to. She owns her truth, and she lives it daily. But one of the things I learned about myself is that actually, girl, you are able to understand and respect the truth of others, regardless of, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she's going to change. It doesn't matter if she's going to end up with a man. It doesn't matter if 3 years down the line she's going to be as feminine as anything. Today, this is my job. Right now. And I honor this moment, and I honor the fact that you're able to talk to me about it and really trust that I'm not going to freak out, and wish I didn't. It's the least of your problems, guys. Children are on dick.
Okay. I'm so with you. It's the last thing to worry about. No, seriously, like I think that what you're talking about is something that before I sort of did my research on you, I started with meditation. I try and meditate twice a day if I can, or in the morning, and I'll have my my crystals with me. And I honestly, all I can think about is be here now, be present this moment now, here. And if you just live for now, not, oh my God, what's going to happen to her, and then next year, just right now. I think that's what also Corona taught us. We only have this moment. We only have this moment. That's why I love your language, because it's my language as well. So you and I have something similar that we do. By the way, my siblings went to Westridge like you. I'm the only one.
Oh, really?
Yes. both my siblings matriculated at Westridge. But I think because you and I are of a particular time, that was probably when they were still letting in black people.
Yes.
But you and I have something similar that we do. We both don't put our partners up on Instagram. I have my reasons, but I really am curious as to why you don't do that. You share your beautiful house with us, your children, your trips, your running, your gorgeous body. You must see her bod, guys. Oh my Lord. Anyway.
I'll take it.
No, please take it. You work hard. You work hard. So I'll tell you my reason. My feeling is people were not there at the beginning, so I do not want you to be there at the end and asking me questions. I also think you must keep some stuff for yourself. There's some things that need to be sacred. So what's your reason?
My reasons are quite simple. He's not on social media. So why am I bringing somebody in a space that they willingly, voluntarily are not in? He's got no Facebook account, no Twitter account. Well, I think it's hard to listen. He's got, so why am I laboring? Why am I laboring to bring somebody into something that they're actually not interested in, right? Mm-hmm. He's a 41-year-old man that can do whatever he wants. And listen, I'm happy for people whose partners are on to tag each other. What. The only difference here is this person is not on this thing. So why am I bringing this person on here? Because now I've got to labor to find the right moment to capture. He's actually honestly not interested. He's not interested. You can think, and this is the thing, right? So I got asked a very cheeky question on Sunday, and it was great because I took glasses of champagne and I could answer it nicely. But, but see, where is he? Does he exist? Is he even alive? Do the children have a father? And I'm like, but listen, he's here. He just doesn't want to be here where you are, where you see him. But he's here. He's watching soccer. But why am I bringing somebody into a space that they actually natively don't want to be in?
Yeah,
really. I will listen if it's something I want to share with you about him. Of course, you graduated to MBA. Congratulations, happy anniversary or whatever, But he's not here, and we don't live here in this thing. So, I'm gonna curate. His name is Tupelo. I'm gonna curate Tupelo so you guys can feel like, he's in the. Now I must also find a spot to make sure he doesn't. No. If he doesn't want to, as a grown-ass man, then he must stay off because this is not. We don't live here in the phones. Yeah, I know. My plants can agree because they're mine. And my children, to a certain extent, I also have to ask, right? Yes. But a whole person with agency can do what they want, and it's my page. So, did you come to see me? Yes, I'm here.
I haven't laughed as hard in this podcast. I hope when I look at it, I'm not gonna regret it. You've made me laugh so hard. I actually I'm crying. I can't. So
you can't. No, and I'm not hiding him with funny faces or whatever. He's just he's just not here in this Instagram world.
Yes.
You want to see him, and you're more than welcome to see him anywhere else. He's actually just a tidbit about the guy. He's probably one of the most intelligent human beings I've ever met. Super humble, super smart, but also it takes a lot to be with somebody like me.
Yeah.
For very long.
That's what I was going to ask, that our partners are very important in our growth and our advancement as human beings. And I was going to ask, because you guys have grown up together. You were a teen. You had a teen when you got married in your age. And now you're 36. And so you have become, and I know it's happened with me, where you go, separately because you don't grow in the same direction. So I was like, I was going to ask you about him as a man, to be able to just grow with you and support you and be with you and look after children for 2 weeks while you go to Niger. That's an extraordinary person to be with.
Yeah. One of the things he said to me when I started my career at Estée, I said, it's time for you to fly. I mean, that for me was, and it's got no conditions. It's time for you to fly, right? But also, one of the, and I don't want to make this a relationship talk, but you've got to allow your partner to grow into the different versions of themselves as often as they feel like
Oh, you need to say that loud for the people at the back. Yeah. Oh,
you do.
So bad.
You have to give space for your partner to grow into the different, many versions of themselves as often as they feel. And that for me is what this partnership has given me. Space to grow into myself, but also space to change and to reinvent myself. I am not the same person that he married. 100% not. We're constantly doing not even revaluations. Listen, our values are the same, and we speak about this all the time. Values change. Values stay the same. Your values stay the same. You are what you believe in and what you intrinsically believe in your core.
Yes,
who you are stays
the
same, right? But the rest. There was a long time in my life that I didn't drink, and then I'm like, let me have a glass of champagne, and then I like gin, and then I change, and then and the man is steadily and quietly, not even quietly because he doesn't need to say much, but the support that says, oh, so we are on this version now. Great.
Yes.
Love to meet her. What do you like? That is what has allowed me, what has allowed us the past 17 years of marriage. Because
yeah.
So it's this constant give, and he talks about grace a lot. He loves the word grace because the word grace is it's also even when you wrong me, right? It's not even when you change, but it's even when you wrong me in your change, that I'm going to make space. I'm going to allow you the space to come back to me when you feel that it's the time for you to. After you've reinvented, I'm still going to be here. Come back to me. And that's, I don't talk about this often. I don't ever actually think I've spoken about it publicly. It's the first time. And that's basically what's allowed this. It's the give. It's the room. It's the grace. It's the you've changed, and I love it. It's the not that you've changed. It's you've changed, and I love it.
I will never ever forget this. Do you know that I will never ever forget what you just said? Because the thing about growing is that you sometimes don't even know you're about to go through a gin period. You know what I'm saying? And you find yourself going through it, and you were hoping that people are willing to bear witness of who you are becoming. We're constantly becoming. Michelle Obama said. And when somebody allows you, I had dreadlocks for 20 years, and then I decided I'm cutting them off. It's so good to just be. So I that's just, I'll never forget that. I'll never, I'm actually going to write it down, and I'll credit you every time I say it, because I think it's incredible. So I want to do something I have never done before with a guest.
Yeah.
But before I do that, I have one final question to ask you. I hope it's not controversial. Right now, you are working as a brand general manager for the Clinique brand, and you really have had an illustrious career by way of being in product development, to going to places like Nigeria and Ghana and seeing what women are looking for there, intrinsically knowing what South African women want, and then marketing products to them, to trying to find to developing a foundation with some of the best minds that works for Black skin. So you have totally worked the industry, and it's an industry that has transformed very slowly. Remember the days when there was one foundation for every Black girl because we are one.
Yeah, you and I used to call it the Universal Foundation.
Exactly. Exactly. That's one universal foundation. And you've been in rooms and had the opportunity to speak about what women want and sample and work with magazine editors and other brand managers. So my question, the thing that makes it controversial is, what are you going to do with all of that knowledge? Because I think you know where I'm trying to go, because I do not believe, I do believe that this is the beginning for you. And I know when somebody has had a career for this long and have done really well, you can be just happy with where you are. But what do you want to do with that knowledge? And it's not a what's next for you. It's I feel like this beauty thing, because of your family and the calling and the spirit, and there is something there. And I hope the God and the ancestors are going to allow you the permission to talk about it as openly as you possibly can without giving too much away. But I have an instinct, Kgomotso, that comrade Baku, the thing that made your classmate in Westridge who sat next to you was white, to say, Kgomotso, you must say it properly. The thing that made you say, this is the kind of foundation that Black women in South Africa are looking for. There's something. What is that thing? What am I sensing? Like, what is it about your future and product design and marketing and being Black and being a woman and being something is ascending from you? Why do I think so?
I don't know. You know, I honestly feel like I'm sitting with my future speaking. And really, you know, I feel like I'm sitting with my future speaking. What I do know at the moment, what I know for sure is that my journey is only just beginning. But what I also know for sure is that there's a certain responsibility that I have to fulfill within the corporate space that's just going to open up a little bit more doors for people like me. And if you were to ask me what my next step is, I'm currently heading up inclusion and diversity as a head sponsor for the affiliate. Because I'm basically representing the South African affiliate to the regional team on inclusion and diversity, and you call it a lot more than just inclusion and diversity, but that's the one space to start. And I feel a great sense of responsibility before I leave the table to add a few more people onto the table. So my future goals are really at the moment to add more seats onto the table and to give people like me, and it's not just Black people, but it's all people of color in South Africa, because I'm very passionate about the forgotten colored, very passionate about that. To you one day about forgotten colored. Right? I think that there's something that we as a country somehow need to help our colored communities towards, and it's something that I'm passionate personally about. But I think that before I move off the table, I don't enjoy being the only one. And at the moment, still me. At the moment, it's still me. And yes, there is an opportunity. And you know, I listen to your podcast with Sylvester, and I say this to people all the time. And he's so good when he says, it was so hard without the name, you know, without the Nando's name, without the Viacom name, you know, that too. And I even say to people, it's only 2 minutes and 22 seconds of your time. If you're working, you need to listen to him.
Thanks.
You know, I didn't tell you, but I did. I was like, guys, if you're working, you need to listen to this, because obviously, you know, you are Kgomotso of Estee Lauder, but also I feel a great sense of responsibility to nurture, to bring, to open, to send the ladder down, whatever you want to call it, because I don't enjoy being lonely. And at the moment, I'm the only.
Yeah, my friend Lynette Ntuli said, being the only is very lonely. And I never forgot it, because It's not great. South Africa deals with a lot of
accomplishment. It's yeah. Don't look at it and go, I'm the only, and as a result, I'm great. But this spearheading inclusion and diversity also allows me, outside of the moaning space, to actually add a strategic objective for both myself and for the affiliate to make a real change instead of sideline moaning. Brene Brown says something so important when she was speaking to Jada, and she said, if you haven't been in the ring, you've got no right to criticize.
Yes, I do not take your feedback. Thank you.
So let me go in the ring, and let me find ways that are going to channel my energy. Because here's the other thing about Black executives is we moan a lot about lack of experience, lack of opportunities, etc., etc. And then when you're given the space to formally do that, it's too much work. It's an extra project. I don't want to do it. So what do you want? And I feel such a great sense of privilege to be given this for whatever reason, but to be given this and for it to run as a strategic part of the business, to go from our employees all the way to how we develop products, all the way to how our communication codes are done, to how we speak to our consumers, how we shoot, etc., etc. All of that stuff in and of itself is an inclusion and diversity. So it's not just about what you do on the face of HR, but how can I&D add and have a strategic seat in the decision-making table of a company? And that's the part of my journey that I'm most excited about.
Look, listen, as somebody who I do talks on unconscious bias, particularly to others, diversity and inclusion, I think it's so important, because you cannot ask for, actually, you cannot get a seat at the table by being outside and nothing. You have to be in the room to say, actually, I know another person of color. Here's a seat, sit down. That is such an important thing. And I know mentorship means a lot to you, with the stuff that you did for CETA when you started also with your career. And I think I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do, whether it
even me
I think it's going to be incredible, because your heart and your everything is in the right place. So ngizokubatreka, ne? Like I said, I've never done this before, but it would be a miss for me not to do this with somebody who you look after. Clinique, Smashbox, it's been Tom Ford, so I've got to ask you, by the way, 8-hour cream needs to make me an ambassador. Let me just say that. Guys, I've been using 8-hour cream on my lips for years. Ask all my friends, they will tell you. I know how much it costs. From the time beauty editor said use it, I used it. Also, I'm calling into my future. I have a Tom Ford shrine. Ululu was I love Lulu for introducing me to Woodwood too. So maybe one day I'll do an ad or something.
Okay.
You get me, ne? So, because of the amazing brands you have worked with, I want to ask you some questions. I'm going to pretend this is a magazine spread, and it's a 2-pager on you. Okay. So, first question. It's just 10 questions, ne?
Yeah.
First one is, what is your all-time favorite fragrance? Yes?
Estée Lauder Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's sensational. Okay, what's your favorite?
And I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
My uncle had a wife who, do you know, there were those ladies back in the days, ne, that were that had French manicures.
Yes.
And they were a little bit chubby, these ladies.
Yes.
They had French manicures, beautiful skin, eyelashes, but not like the individual lashes. And they didn't have weaves, but they had this beautiful hair.
Yes.
My uncle married a woman like that, and she just smelled like beautiful, which was like this. The house was beautiful. She was beautiful. The fragrance was beautiful. It was just this whole mixture of beautiful. And And it was the first fragrance that my husband bought for me, even before I wore it face.
Oh, wow. See, now we know something. Now we know something. I thought the the Estee Lauder Beautiful ad that was done now for coronavirus was just like
Yeah, right?
amazing. It was really amazing.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's your favorite daytime fragrance?
Do you know, Tom Ford Ombre Leather? I know it's like, yeah, that's, and you know, it feels wintry, but in the summer, it slaps differently.
Ooh, okay. And makes mental note. And then your nighttime scent, like when you're going out to
My
a
night,
or a date.
no, my nighttime scent is a Jo Malone bath.
Ooh.
Yeah, so at night we don't put a fragrance on. We go into a Jo Malone bath and we put on the Jo Malone lime basil and mandarin body cream. We don't scent.
Ooh, I can
That's
just
just
smell it. I can just smell it from here.
even red roses.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, you just and you switch on a candle. That's your nighttime scent.
Yeah.
No need for a fragrance.
At least I know what to buy you for your birthday on the 29th of March next year.
Ah!
Okay, your favorite male scent, whether it's the one that you buy your husband the most or the one that you like on him. What's your favorite male scent?
Undoubtedly, Woodwood.
Oh,
Undoubtedly.
girl, yes.
Without a shadow of doubt.
Without a shadow of a doubt, like it is the most
Opulent
classic
and just
Cabernet, like just it's delicious. Mm.
Too much.
Okay, what products do you have in your bag at the moment?
Oh, you are asking. It depends how big the bag is. But
Okay.
it's always a red lip.
Okay.
Always a red lip. Always. A buffing brush because you put on the mask and you put it off and then you buff. And that's it really because my makeup is long wearing.
Oh. Oh. What is the one product you're never without? Like the one product, like you're just beauty product. Obviously, you have deodorant. Roll on.
Good moisturizer.
Yeah.
Can't stress the importance. Do you know, we as Black people love the squeaky clean. And I realized that it's, you know, as you travel and as you learn, you realize actually not everybody loves the squeaky clean feeling that we get. Other people love a milky clean. But anyway, yeah, no, but anyway, yeah. So this squeaky, like the squeaky clean needs a moisturizer. Like it's just ready for a moisturizer. Yeah.
What is the product that you believe is most underrated? Like that people don't shout about, that you're just like, more people need to use it, more people need to know about it?
Do you know, I'm going to say something and it's going to sound controversial because there's been so many controversial things around it. The power of a clarifying lotion / toner, please understand me, and its ability to wipe away dead skin cells because the process happens every 7 days.
Yes.
That's the difference maker in my skincare routine. You can wash your face, but if you don't find a way to wipe, because your skin shades every 7 days, it does itself. It's just to take away the dead skincare cells. Difference maker, clarifying lotion.
Listen, you're the plug. Okay, last 3 questions. What are your 5 skincare essentials items?
A cleanser.
Okay.
Okay. It is across all. You said skincare.
Yes.
Okay. A cleanser and exfoliator, a moisturizer, a serum, and sunscreen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sunscreen. Black people.
Sunscreen, please.
Don't tell us black don't crack.
Yeah. Please,
sunscreen.
Please. It's not even funny. You need sunscreen. Yeah.
Second last question is, who is your beauty icon and why?
Oof, my beauty icon. That's a difficult one. Gosh, I haven't thought about it.
Really? You see, I patrek you.
That's a patrek. Oh my gosh. That's a patrek of another kind, actually.
It can be somebody
Beauty.
you know, your mom.
No, really, actually, gosh, this is a lot. Hold on.
You see, this is great. This is what I live for. I live for asking questions you have not been asked, because you know you've done so many interviews.
Do you know, I'm gonna say somebody, and it's not gonna be a surprise to you, but the day that I met Lulu Devu, I was like,
Oh. Like she's, you know, when you're just like that skin, your brows, like how
the skin, the brows, the smile. I used to hate taking pictures with her because I'm like,
yo, I can't. Lulu's one of the most beautiful women I have, and she taught me a lot as well about how to take care of your face and how you look and how you smell. Gosh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, let's give it to Lulu.
Ben,
I'm giving it to you. If you're watching this, I'm giving it to you.
We are giving it to you, Lulu. We love you. We're giving it to you. And then my last question is, please complete the sentence for me. Beauty is?
Beauty is being your most authentic self. You know, I really believe in the power of authenticity, even in fake 2020. You watch a woman who's gained an extra 3 kilograms decide that she looks fabulous. Decide. Me too. You know, it's something that shines through in what you believe about yourself without seeking the external validation.
Yeah.
There's something that shines through with just a undeterred, I'm still hot. I don't know. For me, it's what you intrinsically believe about yourself, and it's as authentic as you can get. There are so many things that can make you beautiful. So many. I mean, we're running out of things that can make you feel beautiful. It's ridiculous. But if it doesn't come from an authentic belief of actually I really am, then I don't think you can claim beauty.
Listen, I'm gonna carry these extra kilograms with the most cuteness I can, girl. Okay, because it's the only body I have. You know, honor it.
Absolutely.
Kgomotso, Mosiane,
honor it. Love it.
Amazing.
We'll love you back.
Like, you are amazing. This is the longest conversation I've ever had on this podcast, but I don't care. It was it was worth it. I hope you continue to get into the rooms where our voices are needed, where our representation is needed, where our bodies are needed. Continue to represent us. Continue to be a champion for authenticity, grace, and beauty. And please do a house tour. At some point. Look at her, she's cringing. She's like, not yet. But you're just amazing. So, thank you so much. You are amazing. Continue just being you and doing the most amazing work. You represent us, and keep extending the ladder, keep making up space at the seat at the table, and keep thriving. You are a daughter in whom God is pleased, and thank you for honoring me.
So much. You know, when the podcast was launched, I was probably one of the people that was like, yay, and then you don't know that you're going to be a guest.
No, I honestly didn't know.
And I really genuinely was. I'm like, we need more voices. And it's funny that you know, your voice is added to this. And I wish you all the best. You're doing amazing work, and you're exposing us to some of the best and most brilliant minds in this country. And that keeps us going and inspired. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kgomotso. You're amazing.
All right. Thanks for that, though. Time for some champagne.
Yes, please. champagne for you, a Savannah for me, later a rosé. It's just enjoy this beautiful, beautiful
weather. Yeah.
At Kgomotso _ Mosiane on Instagram. Follow her. She's fab. Chat soon, babe. Bye.
Bye, babe.
Bye, Kgomotso.